Okay, so this is our first class of AG 104 Azure Cloud Computing course. So before starting this course, because people are coming from different backgrounds, you might have knowledge of cloud computing, and that is also possible that you do not know anything about the cloud computing, and this is your first exposure. Okay, so let me
Yeah.
start from the scratch. So it will give you a better understanding about what is cloud computing and exactly what we are going to study here. Fine. So,
Yeah.
cloud computing. The first question is that what is cloud computing? So, this is the definition here, but I'm not getting into this definition as of now. Let's understand the meaning of cloud computing exactly on ground, how it looks alike. Okay. So, what happens in every company, they have their own data centers, correct? So, what is data center? Data center is like a dedicated place where all of your backend devices will be connected. So, what are those devices? So, first of all, inside your data centers, you will have racks. On racks, you are going to mount your servers, and then you will have your networking devices, okay, like your switches, router, firewall. And if you have any storage solution in house like SAN and NAS, so that is also connected. In short, all of the devices are connected in this data centers. So because all these are critical devices, so the power is very important. Okay, so always we keep two power connection in data center. One is the main source of power, and second is your UPS. Let's say one is down, so backup is available. Second thing is that all of these devices produce a lot of heat as well. So there should be a solid cooling system to reduce the temperature of the data center. Okay, whenever any company set up any data center, there are few factors are involved. The first factor is the cost. There is a upfront cost in it because you need a dedicated place. Inside that dedicated place, you have to purchase the device and then you have to configure it also, right? And it include like a huge amount. Fine. So one is your cost. So cost is divided into two part. One cost is your capex, and second cost is known as the opex cost. What is capex cost? Capital investment. So initially, the upfront cost what you are paying to purchase all these devices, to purchase the cooling system, to purchase the power, to purchase this data center. Okay, so all these things include in this capital investment capex. And operational cost, opex is like your operational cost, like because this data center is very critical, there are a lot of services depend on this data center, so you have to do the maintenance and the monitoring of this data center on minute to minute basis, right? So you need IT people, those have to take care of that. So you need skilled people not only from the IT department but also from the facility department, because power, cooling, these are also very important factors, right? Apart from that, you should have a monitoring team as well. So what is the function of monitoring team? Let's say this power system failed and temperature start increasing inside this data center, and this is like a very risky situation. So what will happen whenever this temperature increase, a alert will go to the monitoring team. They will raise a ticket with the IT or the facility, and accordingly they have to take care of this problem here. So not only cooling, this is very much true with your servers. Let's say any server is down or the CPU utilization in any server is high. So you will get one notification. Okay, so monitoring team will get a notification and then they further report it to your IT or the facility team, right? So you need operational cost for that because you have to pay the salary. Okay, you have to pay the electricity bill, right? You have to pay the salary of monitoring team. Apart from that, the second important thing is effort, because as you can see that this data center is very critical now for your company. If data center is down, so whole company is down. In simple term, nobody can work, right? So you need a lot of effort for the uptime of this data center. So minute to minute basis, you have to do the monitoring, you have to do the effort for the uptime of this data center. So it include people from a normal engineer, from lead, from manager up to the director level also, just for the data center management of your company, right? So it is required a lot of effort, even 24 bar 7 effort here. The third important thing in this case is your maintenance. Okay, after investing a lot of money and putting a lot of effort, you cannot ensure the 100% uptime of this data center. Okay, why? Because let's say if you want to replace your UPS, or you want to replace your this power connection, you want to do some maintenance in it. So first of all, you have to schedule it. If you're scheduling it, it will be known as the planned maintenance. Okay, so you will send a user communication to the end user saying that so and so date, so and so service is going to be impacted, so be ready. So then you will do the maintenance. Once maintenance is done, you will perform a user acceptance test to ensure that everything is working fine. Okay, and during this period of time, there is a downtime of that service. This is like your planned maintenance. Then second thing is known as the unplanned maintenance. Suppose there is some security patch which need to be pushed on the emergency basis, or let's say any server is crashed. Okay, let's say any networking device crashed. So immediately you have to take the action because you are the owner of this data center and you only are going to manage it. Correct? So these are known as your maintenance. So we discussed about the planned maintenance and the unplanned maintenance. So after putting a lot of money, lot of effort, still the maintenance we have to take care of that, and still the downtime time actually is very high in this data center which is managed by us. Okay, technically when we call this data center, we call it on premises data center. On premises means inside our company we have set up this data center, and in the field of cloud computing we call it on-prem. Okay, now what happened, there is an organization called NIST. The full form of NIST is National Institute of Standard and Technology, and this is a US department agency. And this organization did an announcement that if someone is having any data center, any company is having any data center, and there is any unused capacity inside that data center, they can start renting it out. Okay, so when this announcement happened, Amazon picked up this idea. Okay, Amazon was the first company who picked up this idea and converted it into a business model. And what was that business model? Amazon said that, okay, we understand there is a lot of cost involved in it. When you're trying to set up your own data center inside your office, a lot of effort is required. Maintenance also you have to take care of that. So what we are going to do, what you can do actually, don't do all this thing from your end. This is not required. Okay, instead of that, what we will do, we will set up our own data centers. So Amazon is saying that we will set up our own physical data center in different part of the world. Okay, and these are physical data center like your on-premises data centers only. Okay, all of the devices are connected here, and all these data centers are interconnected with each other. Correct? Also, these data centers are connected with internet as well. Let's say this is your internet. Okay, and this is you with your laptop. You are also connected with the internet here. Okay, now what is the model? What is the cloud computing model? Here they say that if you need any server or you need any physical resource or any kind of resource, what you can do, instead of purchasing the hardware from the market and setting up inside your own data centers, because it is not just purchase a server and doing the setup. There are a lot of other things involved with that, like the maintenance, like the electricity bill, like the engineering support. Everything is included in that when we set up it inside our on premises. So what is this model? In this model, Amazon said that, okay, instead of purchasing this hardware, what you can do that, already we have one data centers, and these data centers are available in different part of the world. So what you can do, you can connect to these data center via this internet. So internet is like an interface between the physical data center and the user itself. So this is user here, right? But you can connect via internet to these physical data center, and then you can create the resource. Let's say you want to create a virtual machine, and you can access it and you can create the virtual machine here, right? So internet is also known as the cloud. Internet is also known as cloud here. So that is the reason this whole model is known as the cloud computing model. Fine, because cloud is playing very important role. Cloud is like an interface between you, customer, or the administrator, whoever is available here, and the backend data center. So this is the initial model, but the same model is acquired by everyone. If you talk about Azure, if you talk about the Google Cloud or other cloud service provider, everybody is following this same model, yeah, and this model is known as the cloud computing model. Okay. So when we talk about Azure, let's say this is my Azure here, right? In case of Azure, Azure has given me a portal, and the portal name is portal.azure.com. So what I will do from my laptop browser, I will open this portal, portal.azure.com, and I will log into this portal. And through this portal, actually, I will create the resources what is required. And all these resources are getting deployed in the physical data centers here. Fine. So this is the overall concept of your cloud computing. Clear? Any question?
No, not yet.
Okay. So if you want to understand with the help of picture here, so this picture represent your cloud computing model. Here you have a world map. In different part of the world, let's say I'm taking example of Azure because we are studying Azure. So Azure has set up the physical data centers, okay, throughout the world. And all these data centers are interconnected as well as they are connected to the cloud. Cloud means internet. Okay. Whenever you want to access these data centers, so what you will do via internet, you are going to connect these physical data center, and inside these physical data center, actually, you are creating your resources. Resources can be anything. It can be a virtual machine, it can be a network, it can be a load balancer, it can be an application gateway. So there is a wide range of product which is available inside these data center. So throughout the course, we are going to discuss about that only, like how to create our own infrastructure inside the cloud computing infrastructure, that is Azure in this case. Clear? So at present in market, there are more than 100 companies. Those are providing this cloud solution in the market. And if I have taken top 20 companies here, okay. And if you see that all big names are listed like VMware, Salesforce, Oracle, Verizon, IBM, Dell. So almost all companies are having their own cloud solution. But you might have only heard about AWS, Google Cloud, or the Microsoft Azure. Why? Because these three are the very famous cloud solution, and they are capturing the major stake in the market. Okay, so most of the companies, when they want to set up their environment into the cloud, they mostly select out of these three options only. Correct? So what we are going to do, I want to show you, because this is your first class, I want to give you some exposure or a feel regarding how this cloud portal looks like and how we create the resources inside it. Okay. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I will take one scenario, and the same scenario I'm going to deploy inside the cloud computing here. And the scenario is that you have a company, and the company want to deploy its own website. So when you want to deploy your own website, So first of all, what you need a server, correct? So let's say this is a server. On this server, you have to install a operating system. Let's say this is Windows Server 2016. And when we like to deploy any website, okay, so what we do, first of all, we have to deploy IIS. On IIS, we can deploy our website. Correct? The same thing I'm going to deploy in this cloud computing portal. So you can see that as I explained about the Azure, that Azure has given us a portal, okay, that is portal.azure.com. So go to your browser and type portal.azure.com, okay, and this is how your portal looks like. Okay, from my laptop I'm connected through internet and I'm opening this portal. When I open this portal, actually I have connected to the backend data center of the Azure. Okay, this is one thing. First time when you log into this portal, it will prompt you to give your username and password also, correct? But in this case, I have already logged in with my account, that is learninghubtech1@gmail.com. Okay, but when you try it, it will ask you to create your own account, that we will discuss later. Okay, so how to create a account for your lab purpose. So right now, what is my scenario? I want to deploy my own website for my company. Let's compare it with the traditional system. If you go with your on-premises data center and you want to do the same thing, so what is the process? Because I told you that first of all, you need a server. So definitely you will go and purchase one server. If you are in the MNC environment, so what is the process there? But because for different things, different departments are available. So let's say you need this server. So request will go to your procurement team, and based on your requirement, like what kind of configuration you are looking for your hardware, they will get the quotation from the vendor. Okay, and then they will give the quotation to you and you have to select one. Then finally they will take a approval from your management on the best price. Once approval they receive, the order processing team, they will release the PO to the vendor. Okay. Now vendor will take its own time. At least they take 1 or 2 weeks based on the availability of the stock with the vendor. And after 2 weeks, let's say they delivered this server to our office. So first it goes to your asset team. They will do the labeling of this asset. So this is an asset only, right? So they will do the labeling, they will do the inventory. So they take their own time. After that, they are going to hand it over to the IT department. IT department is going to install this Windows Server 2016 operating system. Okay. And also they will do the server hardening. So what is server hardening? So in each company, there is a security team and there are guidelines from the security teams. Company to company, this is different. So they will give a guideline to the IT team. And the guideline is that when you get any server, you have to enable or disable some registry, some policies. So there will be a document. According to that document, they will do the server hardening here. Fine. So once this server hardening is done, operating system is installed, they will take this physical server into the office on-premises data center, and on a rack, they will mount it. Okay. So now mounting is done. Because I have hosted my website on it, so there should be a proper connectivity. Then only people from external world will be able to connect your website. So networking should be there, okay? And a proper internet connection should be there on this server. So that thing also, they have to take care of that. So inside IT team itself, there are multiple departments like networking team take care of network and other teams take care of the other stuffs. Fine. Now, once everything is done, they are finally going to hand over the server to the web deployment team. And this web deployment team comes into the picture at last, and then they will deploy IIS and finally they will deploy the website here. If you see this process, this whole process take 1 month period of time, standard timing, I'm telling you, it may be less or more. And also a lot of cost is involved. So now you can see one cost is this physical server. Second cost is the data center where you are placing this this physical server. Okay. Third cost is you can see multiple departments are working just to process one request, from order processing team to asset team to IT team to web deployment team. The salary of these people, correct? So they are working other work also, but still they have invested their time to set up all this thing, right? Now, same thing I want to do inside my cloud computing environment. So how to do it? So my cloud platform is Azure. So first of all, I need a server here. Okay. So what I can do, instead of buying a physical server, I can take this server on rent from the Azure. Okay. It's like a renting model. Okay, so how to create this virtual machine? So in my portal, it will be in the form of the virtual machine, right? So come here, minimize this. So first of all, we need a virtual machine where we want to deploy our Windows Server 2016. So you can see Azure service. So virtual machine is one of the service here. So click on it. So click on add and click on virtual machine. Okay. Now the first thing it is asking me while I'm creating my virtual machine, it is asking me about the resource group. Let me create
I'm
this.
sorry to interrupt. Can we again see that the part how to create the that machine in the first from the first?
Okay, so you come here. This is your home page. Then you come and
Okay.
click on virtual machine. Okay. If you are not getting it here, go on search and type virtual machine and click on it. That's all. Clear?
Yeah.
So click on add here. Then go ahead and click on virtual machine. And the first thing it is asking me about the resource group. Okay. Let's create it. Then I will explain what is the meaning of resource group. So suppose my resource group is my IT and click on OK. Now it is asking me about the virtual machine name because this is my web server. So I'm naming it as a web server here. Clear? So now what is resource group? So resource group is just like a container where you place your resource. So what is resource? So what I'm creating a virtual machine, right? This web server. So this web server is a resource, and I'm placing this web server resource inside my IT resource group. So in simple term, if you want to relate, you can understand resource group like a folder and this web server or the resource as a file. So actually what we are doing, we are placing this file into this folder. Clear? Now it is asking me about the region. When you click on this drop down button here, you can see lot of regions has been listed. Okay, what are these regions? So come back to my PPT. Okay, so these are the regions actually where Azure has set up their data centers. When I talk about India, West India, Central India, and South India, there are three regions where Azure has set up their data centers. Central India means Pune, South India is in Chennai, West India is in Mumbai. Similarly, you can see in US region also, a lot of regions are there, and Azure has their data center here. Okay, so same thing it is asking me. Now I'm sitting here in India. Let's say I want to create a virtual machine inside central US data center. So in central US region, there is a physical data center. Inside this physical data center, I want to create the virtual machine where I'm going to deploy my website. So region can be maybe your customers are based on in US only. The people those are accessing your website are from the US region. So that is the reason maybe you have selected this particular location here. But up to you, you can choose any region based on your requirement. There is no limitation at all. Okay, you can choose any region and deploy your virtual machine. So for my
The based
example,
on it should be a nearest. I think the
see, this is not like there is, when you take the decision, there are multiple things involved in that. Okay, it doesn't work in a way that if you are sitting in Bangalore, so that data center or the virtual machine also should be in the same region. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
latency is playing one role. Suppose you are just thinking from one point of view that we are in India, so we should create in India. But why should we create in India, right? That is the question. I am saying my customer are based in the US. In this scenario, the example what I am explaining, in that I am saying my customer are in the US region. Then why should I create my virtual machine in India region? Because if somebody is trying to access the website from the US, they have to travel all along this way, and there is a latency for the customer. Correct? Are you getting it?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, this is one factor. And apart from this factor, there are a lot of other factors also involved. Based on that, you select your region. Okay, and these regions are like data center. And in every data center, the facilities those are available will be different. It is not like that in each data center you are going to get everything. Correct? So based on the requirement of your environment, what exactly you are going to set up, you are going to choose the region. So as our course proceed further, you will understand those part. Then you will able to take a informed decision that how should you select a region. In my scenario, I have selected a central US because I'm saying my customer is based on the US. Okay. And
Okay.
this is my region. So I'm going to select a region as central US. Fine. Now it is asking me which operating system you want to deploy. So as per my scenario, I want Windows Server 2016 on it. So if you see that you have wide range of operating system available. So basically these are your Linux as well as your Windows operating system. So different flavor of the operating system, different version of operating system are available. Based on your requirement, you can select it. So I'm selecting Windows Server 2016. Now it is asking me about the size. Size means what is the hardware configuration you are looking for this virtual machine. Okay. When you click on select size, so there are a lot of size has been listed here. Like, do you need 3.5 GB RAM or 8 GB of RAM, one virtual CPU, two virtual CPU? From very basic configuration to very high configuration also, if you are looking for, let's say, when you click here, so up to 11,400 GB RAM in a virtual machine and 208 virtual CPU in a virtual machine. Up to this kind of configuration also you are getting. In real time, if you want to purchase this kind of server, even you will not get the server of this configuration in the market. Okay, 11,400 GB of RAM is huge. Okay, so but in cloud computing, this is possible. And one thing you have to keep in your mind, the bigger the size you are going to select, higher the price you are supposed to pay. In the last column, cost is mentioned, and this is your monthly cost. It means that when I'm creating this virtual machine and I run this virtual machine for next 1 month, 24 bar 7, so I'm supposed to pay this amount. Okay, so based on different size, different pricing has been mentioned. Higher the size you select, more the price you are supposed to pay. So in this case, what I'm going to do, I'm going to select this configuration. So two virtual CPU and 8 GB of RAM. Let's say I'm going to select this one, and in bracket you can see this is the rent I'm supposed to pay, 10,180.81. Okay, the one good thing about the cloud computing, suppose you just want to create this virtual machine for 1 hour, so in that case you are just supposed to pay the pricing of only 1 hour. Okay, so this is how it works. So now it is asking me for the username. Let's say I'm giving the user ID Sanjay KA. You can mention the password. Now focus on this part here. So whenever we create a virtual machine, let's say this is a virtual machine, what Azure does, they put a security boundary around it. Security boundary means nobody can connect to this virtual machine, and this security boundary has been placed just for the security of this virtual machine from the external attacks. Okay, but now after creating this virtual machine, I want to deploy my IIS, I want to deploy my website. If I'm not able to access it, then how will I do that? So this is my laptop, let's say. Okay, and once this virtual machine is created, so what is exactly how it works? In between there is an internet. So I'm connected to internet, and even your Azure data centers are also connected to internet. Now from my laptop, I'm trying to take the remote session. So once this session start, okay, so this is a RDP session. And when it is trying to connect to this virtual machine, it is stopped here by this security boundary. Clear? It is stopped here. So, but I have to take the remote session. Otherwise, how will I do this configuration? Okay.
Yes.
So what I have to do, I have to tell Azure, okay, I'm going to take a remote session through the RDP, and RDP use the port number 3389. So please enable it. Please allow it. Please open the port so that I can get inside. Clear? One thing. Second thing, I'm going to host my website here, and my website name is abc.com. And once website is hosted, people will try to access this website. Suppose this is my laptop. From my laptop browser, if I'm typing abc.com, so what will happen in that case? One session will initiate. So this will be a HTTP session, okay? And it will try to connect to my website. But in this case, because except 3389, everything is blocked. So I'll be stopped here. I cannot go via this port number because this port is dedicated to your RDP session. So what will happen? I'll be stopped. I'll not be able to connect to my website. But I want to connect to my website. That is the reason I'm deploying it. So what I have to do, I have to tell Azure, please open the port 80, because suppose I'm using HTTP. So HTTP use the port 80. So these two port has to be enabled. Correct? So come here, and inbound port rule, it says allow selected port. So click on it. So RDP 3389 and the port 80 HTTP. Both ports I am going to allow so that my connection can establish. Clear? So other option we will discuss one by one, because all are part of different modules. So as of now, to create a virtual machine, these many things are required. Just create, click on review and create. So what will happen, as soon as you click on review and create, it will start validation. So what is this validation? In the process of validation, actually it see that whether the information which I have provided is wrong or right. Okay, if you have filled up wrong information, it will say validation failed. Second thing, there are a lot of mandatory fields. If you skip any mandatory field, in that case also it is going to say you validation is failed. First you go and rectify that. In this case, it shows validation passed. It means whatever I gave, that is perfectly fine. Then click on create here. So as soon as you click on create, you can see one notification button here. On the notification button, you can see the status of your request. So currently it says deployment in progress. So your virtual machine is trying to deploy here. So where exactly we are deploying it? We are deploying it inside this central US region. There is a data center. Inside that data center, there will be a physical server, and inside that physical server, we are going to deploy this virtual machine. Can I select that physical server? No. Can I select the data center? Because in central US is a region. Inside that, there might be multiple data centers also. So can I select that? No. So end of the thing, the backend thing totally managed by the Azure here. So we are a customer for the Azure. We just told them this is what configuration we are looking for. And Azure said, okay, this is the price you are supposed to pay. That's all. Fine. This is one thing. So now you can see the deployment is complete. Then go to resource. Now I have created a web server, and this is the name of my virtual machine actually. Status you can see running, location you can see the central US, correct? And Azure has assigned one public IP address by default to my virtual machine here. So this is the public IP address here. Now everything is ready. I want to connect to my virtual machine. So how to connect it? You can see there is a button here called connect because I had enabled a RDP. So click on this RDP. So now you can see that this IP address was assigned to my virtual machine web server by the Azure. And on the same IP address, I'm trying to connect, but on the port number 3389. Okay, and this port number is a RDP port number, and you can see that already we have allowed this port. So session from this port will be allowed, and I'll be able to take the remote session of my virtual machine. Correct. So go ahead and click on download RDP file and connect this one. Okay, so it is asking me for username. So this is the same username and the password what I had given while configuring my virtual machine. Click on OK and yes. So I'm logged into my virtual machine. Let's give it few seconds. It takes some time to settle down. So when we create any virtual machine in Azure, one thing you should keep in your mind that internet is always accessible by default. I did not do any extra configuration for internet, but if you open any website here, you will see that website is working. But a lot of pop-ups are coming to add the website as a trusted website and all. But finally, if you see that your website is opening in the backend. I want to disable all this pop-up because it is disturbing. So what we can do that, click here, there is an option called server manager. Then come on local server and there is an option called IE enhanced security configuration. So click on it and switch it off. And minimize this one, close this one and close this Internet Explorer also, launch it again. Now you try to open your website. So you will see that those pop-ups has disappeared. Okay, this is one thing. Second thing is that my virtual machine is ready as per my requirement. So virtual machine is ready and Windows Server 2016 is working. Internet is also working. Now what I want to do, I want to deploy this IIS. So how to deploy IIS component or IIS role on my server? Go to your server manager and click on dashboard, correct? And then click add roles and features. Next, next, next. And these are the list of roles actually which you can assign to your um, server. And in this role of list, there is a web server in bracket. It is written as IIS. You select this role because this is required for your website deployment. Fine. So go ahead and click on next. It has automatically selected all the component which is required with this role, and go ahead and click on next. And finally you click on install. So IIS is actually going to deploy on your virtual machine, and the name of the virtual machine is web server. So it will take 1 or 2 minutes. So let's wait for some time. Okay, so you can see that it says installation succeeded on web server. Okay, go ahead and close this one and then you go to tool. After installation, when you go to tool, you will see that this IIS manager will start reflecting here. So the full form of IIS is Internet Information Services, and through this you can manage it. Okay, so click on this. So generally what happen when we install any IIS role, so it will create a default website. Okay, while installing the IIS, one default website has been deployed here. And if you want to see the content of this website, just right click on it and click on explore. And these are the content of the website. So one web page has been created. If you open it, you can see this is how it looks like. Correct? So IIS has been deployed. So if my IIS service is working perfectly fine, so in that case, I should be able to access this web page from anywhere. So what I will do, minimize my virtual machine, okay, and go to virtual machine and then click on overview and copy the public IP address of your virtual machine. So copy this one, open a new tab and paste this IP address and hit enter. So now you can see that my website is opening. Okay, this is a default website created by the system. So when I did the testing, it is working perfectly fine. If you try the same IP address from your laptop, this should work. You should also able to see this website from your devices. Now, but I do not want this website. I want my company website, right? So it means that either you should create that website or your company, there might be some developer, they has to give that website to you. So what I'm going to do, I do not have any website as of now. So what I can do, I can download it from the internet. So go to Google, google.com, and just type download sample website. And there are a lot of links. Let's say I'm connecting on this one. Okay, so these are the sample websites. So what we can do, we can download one sample website from here. Let's say I selected this one, click on it, and if you scroll down, there is a download button. So click on this download and then click on save. So the content of this website is going to download on your virtual machine. Correct. So this download, if you come here and open the folder, so this all these file got downloaded inside your download folder of your virtual machine. Okay, so what you do, open this folder and these are the content of your website. Select all, copy this one, go to your IIS manager. This is your default website. Right click on it and click on explore. And I do not want these pages, remove it and paste the new content of your website. Paste. Okay. Minimize your virtual machine and hit the same IP address once again. So you can see that your website has been successfully hosted now. You can access it from anywhere. Okay, and now you can understand the power of the cloud computing. The process which was taking a 1 month period of time and a lot of money, a lot of people were involved to process that request. Now in cloud computing, it is just matter of 5 minutes. Within 5 minutes, I could deploy my website successfully. Correct. So this is one trailer about the cloud computing, how cloud computing works. But in real time, generally, we do not give this IP address to the customer because customer will access a website with the name like google.com, facebook.com. So what we do, so this is the IP address of your virtual machine, right? So what we will do with this IP address, we will map one domain name. Let's say my domain name, suppose, is learninghubtech.com. So then finally, what I'm supposed to do, I'm supposed to map this domain name with this IP address. Okay. But to map this domain name, first we have to cover up a lot of other topics. Like we should have the understanding of DNS, how exactly DNS work in Azure, the concept of SSL certificates, SSL binding, all these things should be clear. So in our upcoming classes, we will also see that how we are going to bind this domain name with the IP address so that customer can access your website by a particular domain name here. Okay, so this is how we have deployed our website inside the cloud computing infrastructure. So let me know if you have any question regarding this.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. I think this was excellent.